Hi, Victoria. Thanks for joining us today on the workplace webinar. If you could please just go ahead and introduce yourself and just describe, what you do and kind of your role in the college.
Okay. My name's Victoria Houghton. I'm the academic program specialist for the Environmental and Global Health Department, which is in the Public Health and Health Professions College at the University of Florida. I basically help the students, making sure that they're progressing through their degrees. I have other duties as assigned. I help the chair of our department, Dr. Stable Atwood.
Mm-hmm.
I coordinate certain things with Meredith Hoyt, who's our fiscal and HR coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with Brand Dalton, our program assistant, on things with our website and publications.
Right. So a key component to any department that keeps everything rolling on time. Very important work. So now we're recording this just to kind of pivot to today. It's Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. We are nearing the end of this mandatory social distancing protocol, and you've been working from home for about 2 months now, correct?
Yeah, I think it's been about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of running into each other.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting to speak with you today because you just went through the end of the semester, through a pandemic. We graduated. Now we're in summer, planning for the fall. So I know there's a whole list, probably 100 different things that were very difficult. But if you could share with everybody, what has been the most challenging part for you as a program assistant for all of this?
I think the most challenging part is since I don't physically see anybody, trying to get contact with them, getting signatures on documents, just trying to get in touch with people in general has been a little bit challenging. Most students are very receptive to my email, so that's been nice.
Right.
Just making sure people are responding and getting to me the things that I need.
Yeah.
There's paperwork that needs very specific signatures and needs to be turned in a timely fashion, and that's been a little bit challenging on my end.
Yeah. I imagine with the whole signature acquisition process that we've had to develop, within our department, college, entire university, you've had to develop so many new protocols, getting things approved. So, would your signature load, the documents you have to process, did it like double and triple in the amount of time?
I'm not sure the actual load increased. I think it's more of the challenge of actually getting the signatures. We did have to create new documents for certain items. I could give you, for instance, grade change forms are normally, I have to physically go pick them up at the registrar, walk them back. They can't be faxed, emailed, or mailed.
Oh, right.
And then once they're completed, I have to physically walk them back to the registrar with my ID to turn them in. And obviously, since we're not on campus, we've had to create new processes for things like that.
Oh, so what does that look like? Or what did that look like if it's coming to an end now?
It's a whole new document that was created that requires the digital signatures.
Okay. Yeah.
They have to be done with Adobe. They can't be like a screenshot or anything like that.
Right. Yep.
A real signature, and then there's only one person in our college, once all the signatures are on it, that is allowed to send them to the registrar. So that so that person kind of vets all of the signatures and then makes sure that
I see. So the current plan is to transition everybody back to campus in the next 4 to 8 weeks. So do you think any of the new processes that you developed, you'll keep them, ditch them, go back to the old ways? What do you think that'll look like?
I haven't heard one way or the other. I'm not sure. I believe once we're back on campus that the registrar is going to require those documents to be hand walked back up. But it may be streamlined to where maybe just one person is taking them up instead of multiple people.
Right. And then with the social distancing guidelines and wearing face masks, that could be an interesting kind of bottleneck. If I don't know if there's 10 people in line when you go there, now you got to stay farther apart. So
Yeah,
yeah, I guess we can plan on things taking a little bit longer over
it's
the this.
definitely been interesting.
Yeah. So what have you what's been maybe something that that you were kind of surprised to learn about either working in the department or in the college, through this process that was a positive thing that happened?
I think it's interesting to know that I can do 100% of my job sitting at home, even though
Oh, right.
I do prefer the social interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a socially person.
Sure.
And I do like seeing other people, even though right now it's a little bit scary, but it is interesting to know that I could do it all from home. I
Mm-hmm.
was not sure that I would be able, there are certain things that I like to print that I can't do here.
Right.
But I've learned or been taught different ways to do certain things here. And it's neat to learn something new.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think what you said earlier about, missing the social interaction, there's, even though you can complete your work at home, that there is something that's, beneficial that keeps us going, that, if you see somebody walking past your office at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday or whatever it is, it, re-energizes you, so to speak, to finish your work for the day. And it's just great to see other people too in the flesh
Yeah,
instead of this 2D world we've all been living in for the past 8 weeks.
that is. I enjoy that interaction. I will say too that we did our another thing that I was surprised at, I guess, was we did our spring graduation kind of ceremony. We did it online,
Oh,
and
right.
where
Yeah.
students were all invited, and they could invite their family and friends.
Yeah.
Uh,
I sat in during that graduation. So that was really neat.
it went so well. I was so impressed with how well it went that we're considering doing that, an individual kind of graduation for our students in the future semesters. That way
Okay.
each one can get recognized individually, whereas when you walk across the stage, nobody
Oh,
says
right.
about you. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then also when they have family and friends that can't come into town for a physical graduation, this is a way for everyone to be involved. And I think that's been a really neat benefit of this working from home.
Oh, right. Yeah. I recall in the beginning of the ceremony, there were individual awards, but right, just the format and the timing and learning how to how to conduct an online graduation probably didn't allow everyone to figure out how to do individual ones. But that's encouraging to hear that,
Yeah,
depending on how the fall semester looks and the fall graduation looks, that there will be individual ceremonies. That's great.
yeah. I think that was just a really neat consequence
Mm-hmm.
of this situation.
Yeah. So as we begin to think, as we think about returning to campus, what do you, kind of, if we're thinking about this as a workplace wellness initiative or thing or task, like what do you foresee being needing the most support with as you return to your role physically on campus?
I want to make sure that just mentally we feel like we're in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Um, you know, taking breaks and taking walks is one thing, but walking around in an area where social distancing may or may not be possible, getting in
Mm.
elevators, using the restroom, things that you kind of we were taking for granted. Like
Oh, sure.
it's hard for me to be mentally prepared to get back to campus.
Yeah, I didn't think about the elevator and stair usage, right? EGH is on the fourth floor, and I would take the stairs all the time when I was on campus, and you'd almost need to just like give somebody a 5 second lead ahead of you.
Sure.
But even then, if we're concerned, and yeah, we have to wait for the data to come back out about airborne, you don't want to breathe somebody's air right behind them. So maybe stairs aren't a good option, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I think it's just a challenge we're all going to have to figure out, get used to. We're in our
Hmm.
now.
Right, because that's just going to be a part of all of our everyday routines, whether it's walking through Shands to go get a coffee, or just going to get fresh air, or walking in the tunnels around campus. Yeah, it's going to be a part of every new thing, and we have to mentally wrangle with that, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the other challenge is making sure we have the cleaning supplies as well. Like it's been
Mm-hmm.
8 weeks and I haven't found any Clorox wipes in 8 weeks. So it's like it would be nice
Oh,
to have something to make sure that all of our areas are cleaned every day.
oh, right. Yeah, I remember watching. I think it was 60 Minutes. They had the Clorox CEO talking about when can we get wipes back on the shelves, and they're ramping up production. Or they have ramped up production by
Yeah,
20-40%, whatever it is. But again, they pointed out, which I didn't think about. It was like all the production needs to go to the hospitals. So it's
sure,
like the
sure.
first responder priority, then consumer. So um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's having the ongoing cleaning supplies, having the environment set up right, everybody's 6 feet apart, not sharing offices, and then developing, coming from a behavioral perspective, then looking at how our behaviors and how comfortable we feel in new situations, how that's impacted. I think that's a fantastic point. That's something that Sarah McCune has brought up too, that um, I think she said it best, where like it was easy to transition to work from home because everybody can go be safe, but now it's going to be even harder to think about how to come back. And I
yeah,
think we're all experiencing that right now. So,
yeah.
um,
It'll be interesting for sure.
so what would that, I mean, just to kind of put you on the spot, what would that look like for you if you could design your ideal work scenario that you could be in a safe mental space at, on campus?
I think first and foremost, I have children too. So
Right.
I would want to know that my children had a place to go, which it doesn't look like they will this summer because camps have been canceled. So that already is putting me,
Oh, right. Like summer camp.
like their camps have been canceled. So it's
Right. Okay.
looking at this situation of, all right, are my kids going to be all right at home alone? And that's not really what we envisioned for our children this summer is to sit around by themselves all summer. Anyway,
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
but coming back,
that's incredibly important, because how old are your kids?
they are 12 and 15.
Right. So nobody called the police on Victoria. We're all in the same boat. We'll be calling the police on each other.
Yeah,
Um, it's yeah, you're just, every summer you're used to having them do things and having that summer schedule, but now
yes, yeah.
you
So,
can, you can't you can't not think about how your kids are doing while you're at work.
yeah, so, excuse me. My day back on campus will include phone calls home, making sure everybody's okay and haven't burned down the house. Uh,
Right.
but in the office, fortunately, I don't share my personal office space with anyone. I do
Mm-hmm.
have an adjoined office with Dr. Sable Atwood. So for
Mm-hmm.
her to get to her office, she does have to walk through mine. But I'm okay as long as I have a clean space and
Mm-hmm.
hand sanitizer and wear my mask. I mean, whenever they're ready for us to be back, I guess we have to be back, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like designing the work day and work environment so that you can perform the best. Like, even if, let's say, you're able to check in every hour on the hour, you're still going to, let's say, nobody can work as productive with all these things going on. So it's, I think, coming to terms with that we're going to go there, work for a couple hours, take a break, work for a couple hours, check in, right? Whatever that looks like. But yeah, I think having that be kind of a purposeful part of returning is important.
Yeah. I miss all my people. I want everyone to stay safe and healthy. So
Right. Yeah. So maybe we'll wrap up on this, Victoria. So what do you think is, the most important, piece of, wellness as it relates to returning to work, and something that people, like everybody, in your own perspective, everybody should be thinking about as we, transition back to campus and to the fall semester.
I think our mental health is an important aspect of all of what's been going on. We've all had different challenges. None of us has an exact same
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yeah.
Um, and making sure that we have the support that we need
Mm-hmm.
when needed to get back and remain healthy.
Yeah. I think that's a great point to wrap up on. Well, Victoria, thank you for your time today. Be safe, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Nick.